up your engine! Now people are always asking me about mid-size pickup trucks. What's the best ones to buy? I'm going to talk about Toyota Tacomas today. This particular one is a 2017 Tacoma. It's a nice looking truck. There's a tiny little back in it. Nice size bed. Look at that, it doesn't clunk because the Japanese made them so they come down nice and slow. As with most things Toyota, over time they tend to perfect things. Check out the beginning of the Toyota pickup trucks. Look at that 1964 Toyota Stout. You can see they basically made a small version of a Ford pickup truck. It had very similar suspensions and stuff, had a much smaller engine of course. But they started with a basic thing like that, then they end up with something like this. Now from 1964 to 1994 and a half, or let's say 1995, Toyota in the United States just called them Toyota pickups. They didn't give them any name. The first generation Tacoma was 1994 and a half when they started calling them Tacomas. I guess Toyota decided, hey, we better give them a name now. They were just in the United States known as Toyota pickup trucks. I think that was a very good idea. You got the name and you got a pickup truck. You don't need anything else. But they did call the original Toyota Tundra a T100 for a short period of time. And then they decided to call them Tundras, put big V8 engines in them. But when we get back to this Tacoma, especially this one with the 4-cylinder engine, they have been insanely reliable, compact, and now they're mid-sized pickup trucks. Now, yes, for a short period of time, they didn't build the frames right for some of the Tacomas, and the frames would rot. I personally had a few of my customers get free frames from Toyota. They took the bodies off the truck, everything, put them on a new frame, and away they went. So if you're looking at a really old one, you want to make sure the frame's not rotten, because if it's rotten, they're so old now that Toyota doesn't seem to be giving you free frames anymore. So it's too late for that. You see one with a rotten frame, don't buy it unless it's super cheap and you like doing a lot of welding with 1/4-inch steel. Now this is the 4-cylinder model, and for most people it's plenty enough engine. As you can see, tons of room to work on them. But they don't break very often, so you don't spend much time working on them. And as we go to the back, you can see, got a nice sized bed. You can put a lot of stuff in it. Now this one has a 6-speed automatic transmission with overdrive. My son's the younger generation. He doesn't like shifting, so he's got an automatic. And these 6 speeds are generally as reliable as the 4-cylinder engines. They can go forever. Now, if you're a whiner and you say it doesn't have enough horsepower, because granted it only has 149 horsepower, you can go for the V6 option. It has 278 horsepower. But my son is like me. He's cheap. He paid 25 grand for this truck brand new. And he looked at the V6s, but they were $34,000. And he thought, why should I pay the extra money? I don't need that V6. He doesn't pull a camper. He's not hauling giant loads. He uses the bed most of the time, and the carrying capacity in the bed isn't all that much different. Sure, you can tow a lot more with a V6, but you can see my son didn't have a tow hitch on it. He doesn't need to tow it. His son's got stuff to tow stuff with, so he doesn't care. This is just a really nice mid-sized pickup truck. Now, the main competition of this is a Ford Ranger. And if you go bottom line, 4-cylinder automatic in a Ford Ranger, yeah, you're gonna save $2,300 buying a Ranger versus the Tacoma. But believe you me, the Tacoma is going to last a lot longer. And the sales numbers will tell you that. Ford sold 89,000 Rangers in 2019. Toyota sold 278,000 of these Tacomas here. Big difference, even though the Rangers are cheaper, people will say, I'll pay the extra $2 for a Toyota. And this particular one, hey, that was put together in Texas. San Antonio, to be specific. And that's one thing that old Scotty here doesn't like in the new ones. Stop making Tacomas in San Antonio, and they're only making the big trucks there now. And they're making all the Tacomas for the U.S. market down in Mexico. And I've already seen some problems with the ones made in Mexico. I don't like that they did that. Yes, they're doing it to save labor costs. Any fool knows that. I don't like the idea. You've heard me say, when I want a Japanese car, I'd rather have one made in Japan. Well, a lot of the parts on this thing come from Japan. They're put together in San Antonio. But Mexico, I've seen too many problems with Chrysler products. You name it. Any vehicles that are made in Mexico. I don't like the quality myself. Come on now, they're only doing it for lower labor costs. Everybody knows that? I'm not into that. Lower labor costs, generally is going to lead to lower quality. I just see that. Take Optima batteries. They used to make them all in the United States. They opened the plant in Mexico and told the guys in the United States, well, this is just for our European market. We can't make enough here in the United States. And then 10 years later, they shut down the Optima factory in the United States. They only make them in Mexico. And if you ask any mechanic worth his salt, he'll tell you, the Optima batteries, they were fantastic batteries when they were made in the United States. They started making them in Mexico, quality's gone down, big time. But you talk about the old Toyota pickup trucks, and this particular Tacoma, they're legendary for running forever. I got a free trade for my other son's Tacoma. He's got an old one that I got with 150,000 miles. It had the bad frame in it, and it came from Massachusetts in the first place, which made it even worse. One half of the frame was all rotten. But if you watch my old video, how to fix frames, you can see I welded this sheet steel on it. I boxed the frame in for him with sheet steel, welded it all up. Some people said, oh, what a sloppy job, that'll never last, it's dangerous, all that. Well, that was a long time ago, like 8, 9 years ago. He's still driving that pickup truck and the frame is still where I welded it on. He's lucky that the other side didn't rot, only the driver's side rotted, because if the other side rotted, I'm in Texas and he's in Massachusetts, so I'm not gonna go all the way there just to weld something on it. He doesn't have any welding equipment anyway. But going back to this Tacoma, you can see it's a work truck. They got all their tools all packed up inside. That's what these things are made for. And of course it starts up every time. Has freezing cold air conditioning. And being modern, it still has a backup camera. And being modern times, it's got the old virus mask. They are pretty basic, dependable, and ones that keep their value. Originally, my son wanted me to find him a good used one, so I started looking around. And the used ones, even with 100, 150,000 miles, they're still pretty expensive. So he just bought this new because he said, look, I paid $25,000. I'll probably keep it for 30 years or more. So if it costs me less than $900 a year, why not just buy a new one and drive it myself? So that's probably what he's gonna do. If I'm still around 30 years from now, I'll make a video out of it. This one is the classic rear wheel drive. He didn't get all-wheel drive. He didn't need all-wheel drive. They got real solid rear ends. They can run forever. You don't need all-wheel drive in Tennessee. Well, at least you don't in Nashville. So let's shut the hood and take it for a ride. We'll just start her up and back her out. First thing you're gonna notice is how smooth it idles. 4-cylinder engine, but it idles really smooth. And when you take off, sure, it's not a race truck, but it goes good enough. Even has a little racy sound. And as we go into this cul-de-sac here, you'll see it's not a bad turning radius. It's a mid-sized truck, but it turns quite well. And handles excellent for mid-sized pickup truck. It's not over heavy. It doesn't particularly oversteer. But the main thing with these babies is they can last forever with limited maintenance. And that is really what a pickup is all about. Something you can ride hard and put up wet, like they used to say about horses. Something you don't have to think about. A lot of people buy an old one, put them out in their country. They don't care. They might use it 10 times a year. It'll always start right up if it's got a good battery. They still got the old-fashioned drum brakes in the back, inside there. They still have drum brakes, but drum brakes have a big advantage. Of course, they still have discs in the front. They're disc brakes in the front. But I actually prefer drum brakes on a truck. They're simple. They're sealed. They can sit forever. They don't rust as much as disc systems do. They're more sealed from the elements. You take the old 60s Ford pickup trucks. They had drums in the back. Some of them even had drums in the front. They work perfectly fine. Discs don't fade as much after repeated using. That's for racing. This isn't a race car. This is a pickup truck. And these are full-time drum brakes. You take some of the GM ones that have discs in the back, but they have these flimsy little cheap drum emergency brakes. They're not worth beans. This is a real emergency brake system too that holds it solid, hills. It's not going to be rolling. It's not going to break. It'll last forever. And it's simplicity itself. None of that electronic crap to brake. Here's the emergency brake. Ooh, it holds nice and tight. It's very simple. Then all you have to do is push the button and it's off. This is going to last a lifetime. Unlike a lot of that electronic crap, like electronic parking brakes on modern vehicles. I'll take this any day. over that electronic crap. A nice handle you can pull up, or a pedal you can step on. Not electronic crap that's only gonna break as they age. Costs a ton of money to fix. A cable that pulls, lasts forever, really strong, hold it in place. You're working in hilly parts, pull it on. It's not gonna roll anywhere, and you can depend on it. Because after all, dependability is the name of the game with a pickup truck. And this Tacoma, they're about as dependable as they get. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.